What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back, and from the Daily Beast, Stop the Steal organizer apologizes after being accused of asking teen boys for inappropriate pictures. Quote, I apologize for any inappropriate messages sent over the years, said Ali Alexander, an ally of former President Trump and white nationalist Nick Fuentes. So shout out to the Daily Beast for their little extremism tag. Oh, it's so extreme. Ali Alexander is so extreme. Donald Trump and Nick Fuentes, they're so extreme. Meanwhile, they're encouraging, parents to off their babies. They're encouraging little kids to, quote unquote, change their gender. That's not extreme at all. But this guy who tried to stop the presidential election from going off the rails, shall we say, he's the extremist. And I know they're absolutely loving this because he is not denying these text messages. And I'm not going to pretend like I knew this the whole time, but I think we can agree, I think most people agree, that there was something a little off about this guy. He did seem to be like a weird actor from the very beginning and not really authentic, right? There was always something a little bit off about him, but he got some good things done, right? Was he also a scumbag? Apparently. A key figure in the pro-Trump Stop the Steal campaign has apologized after being accused of asking teenage boys for sexual pictures. Ali Alexander has become one of the most ubiquitous figures in the MAGA movement. Trump himself reportedly requested that Alexander speak at his rally before the riot, with his appearance only quashed by a last-minute intervention from Trump's aide. But this week, Alexander stands at the center of a scandal that raises questions about how powerful men in the far right treat their younger acolytes. Oh, is that right? It's only happening in the far right? Is that all? Is that the only place it's happening? Right? What about Katie Hill? Does anybody remember Katie Hill from California, who was in a throuple with one of her little assistants and her husband smoking a bong on a "Would you bang my wife" Reddit? You remember that? So let's not pretend this is only flowing in one direction, right? I mean, we have one part of this establishment, and look, they're both completely despicable. I think most people can agree on that. But to pretend like this creepy stuff isn't happening all over the place, I think you got to look in the mirror and be a little bit more realistic. Oh, this is a weird far right thing. No, bro. It's happening all over the place, and it's probably more common than anybody would like to admit. This is too gay, Alexander said in a statement issued Friday night that addressed the allegations in broad terms. Alexander, who has described himself as bisexual in the past, added that he was battling with same-sex attraction. Yeah, well, I've said it before that there's not really such thing as bisexual, especially for men. When you go down that road, that's it. You worn it. It's a tattoo. You're gonna go back to your lady and tell her that you've been sleeping with a dude. It's not gonna work, bro. The budding online scandal has also roiled up the pro-Trump white supremacist America, quote, America first. And that's what they do is, right, they put like traditional values in quotes, America first in quotes, like as though those are just so crazy, like it's not actually real. Meanwhile, you guys are the ones trying to cut the junk off little kids. It's absolutely ridiculous. So while this guy is a scumbag, the Daily Beast is also, I don't want to say bigger scumbag, but they are also very much in the category of scumbags, right? The way they frame everything. And I can't imagine they're even still pretending that they're anywhere close to neutral, right? Like this is obviously a propaganda rag. That's not to say they can't report real facts about another creepy dude, but they can't pass their own purity test, right? Like, oh, this guy's so creepy. Bro, you guys are all in on this, so stop pretending. Just months after it reached new levels of notoriety, its leader, Nick Fuentes, dined with Donald Trump and rapper Kanye West at Mar-a-Lago. Now Fuentes is facing backlash from his own supporters over whether he ignored warnings that Alexander, his friend and ally, was allegedly soliciting nude pictures from young men within Fuentes' movement. So we've already used the term white supremacist or white nationalist or whatever it is more than once in this article, and they're talking about a black guy. So this is how diluted it all is. So again, I can't stress enough that Ali Alexander was always very creepy, and he might be a complete and total scumbag. I don't even know if this is true because I can't trust the Daily Beast as far as I can throw them. But when you keep saying these buzzwords about racism, you're talking about a black guy, it throws everything else, all of your credibility, into question. Like this is the first time the Daily Beast has been, their credibility has been called into question. That's been happening for a long time now. But of course, different point, and I digress. Moving on. On Friday night, Alexander, who was questioned by the House January 6th committee, which is just a political hit job, they're just hacks, so it's not real, about his role organizing a canceled rally dubbed the Wild Protest outside the Capitol. See, that's the thing, is like, if you just even protest, if you organize, they're going to call you a criminal. But if you burn down cities, spray paint everything, and tear down statues in the name of a patron saint of fentanyl, then that's just protesting. That's par for the course. Rona takes a break for a race protest, right? That much we know. Which drew crowds to the building right before the riot began, issued a statement Friday offering a general apology. I apologize for any inappropriate messages sent over the years. When I flirted or others have flirted with me, I flexed my credentials or dropped corny pickup lines. Other times I've been careless and should have qualified those coming up to me's identities during flirtatious banter at the start. Alexander didn't respond to response for comment from the Daily Beast in his statement. He claimed he had also been targeted by false accusations and edited screenshots. So yeah, he claimed that, and I guess this is how low the bar has gotten, that at least the Daily Beast reports that. We don't know if it's true. We don't know exactly what's true. But again, I will say that there was always something a little off about this Ali Alexander guy. He kind of had that weird Sammy Davis Jr. look, which I guess doesn't really play into it, but it was always like a weird little creepy Hollywood type of vibe that didn't really add up. Anyhow, moving on. That is to be determined by the boy who plays his cards the most correct. Okay, so that's a big quote. I guess that's a text that he sent to one of these little teenagers or something. Rumors about Alexander's alleged sexual behavior towards younger men have circulated in the conservative online circle since at least 2015. And there you have it. But they reached a new level late last month after Milo Yiannopoulos, who apparently is a yestergay, right? He got saved. He ain't gays no more, apparently. I don't know. The controversial British provocateur and one-time Alexander ally turned on Alexander after Alexander and Fuentes pushed him out of a potentially lucrative position in West presidential campaign. So this is all a mess. This is all a complete mess. A lot of infighting, a lot of weirdo, creepy Hollywood personalities. Yiannopoulos started releasing video interviews and other evidence meant to prove that Alexander sexually propositioned both adult men in their 20s and at least 2 teenagers. And I will go out on a limb here and say that Milo was probably doing it too. I mean, I'm just saying, right? Milo was notoriously pretty gay and pretty flamboyant until one day he said that he wasn't gay. He got saved or something. I don't know. That's a different story. But they're kind of on a takes one to know one basis here, right? And I think Milo notoriously said something about how it's not that bad, and he was, he had some issues with older men when he was a kid. I don't know the man's history, but it's all very strange, and they were probably both doing this creepy stuff. Yiannopoulos, whose own career as a far-right pundit imploded in 2017 after remarks he made downplaying the seriousness of pedophilia, claims he has more damaging videos to release about Alexander and Fuentes. So these guys who were buddy-buddy only a couple months ago are now battling each other for supremacy in a kind of a defunct movement. I guess the MAGA movement is still here, but nobody's worried about Milo. Very few people are worried about Nick Fuentes. Nobody's worried about Alexander except for the media because they look gross and creepy so they can play them up and pretend that's how the entire movement is, when it's just not true. Really, the MAGA movement, as far as I'm concerned, is basically just a bunch of people who don't want to be told what to do by a weirdo empty suit hack in Joe Biden who's pretending that he's gonna shoot you full of pharmaceuticals for your own health, and he's gonna take your car, and he's gonna take your egg prices, your gas prices, all this stuff's going to go through the roof, and they're going to pretend, they constantly will tell you that the president doesn't control gas prices until they drop 6 cents. Then it's his doing, right? Remember when you saved 7 cents on your 4th of July barbecue? They're doing this all on purpose. And obviously Joe Biden is not the one making the decisions. We don't know who it is. I have this feeling that it might be the Council on Foreign Affairs, but that, of course, is a completely different story and something that we should all probably look into. Who will be my arm candy? In 2017, Aiden Duncan, a 15-year-old boy in Colorado, interested in right-wing politics. I'm surprised they didn't say far right. Sent Alexander a nude picture after the MAGA activist asked him for them, according to an account Duncan gave in a March 2023 podcast appearance. So he's getting aired out by teenagers on podcasts. I wonder which podcast that was. They should link to that. While Duncan was a high school sophomore just starting out in politics, Alexander was a 32-year-old with a decade of political work for the Republican Party behind him. And now he's willing to share the connections he had gained through that work with Duncan as long as the teenager met certain preconditions, including secrecy. All right, so yeah, this is getting really quite dark. So now he's trading, I guess, his inner circle of influence and names, his little black book, his Rolodex, for some nudes, which is incredibly dark. But, I mean, this is politics. It is a dirty game. And I don't think anybody is under the impression that Republicans or right-wingers are clean. They're all completely filthy. And I ask myself this question all the time. Do they go into politics with a clear head and a big heart and saying they actually want to help people, and then a boat full of cash gets backed up to their condo and they switch, based on the words of some lobbyist? Or do they go in just for the payout, as the great Frank Reynolds once said? All these jerk-offs get into politics just for the payout, right? So do you go in corrupted, or do you start clean and get corrupted? And I'm sure it happens both ways, right? There's so many of these hacks, right? What do they say? Politics is Hollywood for ugly people, which I think is accurate. Boundaries are cool. Allowed to say no. However, the less you deprive me of, the less I deprive you of. So there he is once again in the big, bold letters, convincing these people, these men, these boys, these teenagers, that if they give him what he wants, which apparently is nude photos, and this goes on, this goes on. I mean, this is thousands and thousands of words to rake this guy over the coals. And he does deserve it. He's always been really creepy. He's always been fairly creepy, but now he's really creepy. And they're loving this. The Daily Beast is absolutely loving this right now, because they can say that a MAGA influencer is a weirdo, creepy gay guy going after kids. Now, by their own definition, they should probably like a weirdo, creepy gay guy. They will never admit that they're going after kids, but that's exactly what they're doing with this LGBTQBBQIA plus whatever it is agenda that's constantly being shoved down our throat. No pun intended. But thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.